Okay, so for this message, this is a very hard one for me. Oh, I'm sure it's hard for the parents as well. But I am an empath, and I do pick up on emotions, and before I started this reading, I was already crying in grief, so I'm trying to keep it together, which is likely what you are doing as well, and that's sort of what I got from the reading. Let's just get into it. So this message is for JD and LM. Dear child says, I loved the power packs. You visited a cornucopia of butterflies. This is a very poetic child, by the way. I'm not sure how old the child was. The way the baby spoke was very poetic. The images were very strong. So you visit a cornucopia of butterflies. That was the child's word, not mine. So I don't know what that means to you, but a cornucopia of butterflies. And everything was in a cupcake of colors. A cupcake of colors. It's a very imaginative little child. Oh, you know what? I did see, now that I remember, I'm reading this over and I'm remembering that I did see a child that was, I want to say between 6 and 9 is what I saw. I saw the child with a mother type figure on a fence. Not a fence, I'm sorry. On a bench. On a bench. A mother type figure on a bench. And the mother type figure held the child. I think they both had black hair. I think that's what I saw, black hair. They were very shadowy figures. They were shadow figures, so maybe it wasn't black hair, but it felt to me like I was looking at black hair. Especially in contrast with the other images, the cornucopia of butterflies and a cupcake of colors. That's a big contrast. So there's a little boy, maybe held by someone or hugged and comforted by someone while out at a park. This child's no longer here. I did not see what happened, so I do sometimes see what happened to the children. In this case, I did not. But the message is apparently, so I'm thinking JD, LM may have been together. Maybe you were a couple together and you're no longer together at the moment. You're separated. It seems like the death of a child may have pushed you two away from each other. The death of this child, and this child is saying that standing in your grief is what will bring you both back. It'll bring you both back to love. So you guys have that common bond of grief. Okay, so I just got a message that said every park has one. Every park has one. Standing in grief is how you unite. It's the path back to love. Grief drives a wedge between a lot of people, including couples who have lost a child. It does drive a wedge between them. So I feel like JD and LM, right now you are not in contact, or you're not communicating somehow. And it has to do probably with your child passing, or with the child passing. But he is saying that you two are lobsters, which if you know anything about that, that's sort of like a soulmate type thing. Basically, it's just saying that you two are meant to be together and you belong together. And so this wedge between you needs to stop. And he's saying that standing in your grief and not pushing that away, but instead being together and uniting in that grief is how you two will come back together again. Because you both share that same grief. Whatever it may be, the path back to love for you two is to stand in your grief and be there for each other and hold each other, comfort each other. I am assuming that it's the parents. I just thought maybe it could be a child too. It could be, you know, a single parent and an older brother or something like that. The other thing I had was, the other messages I got were West End Street Maze. So it sounds like the child is bringing up a story that you two may have gone through, which is there's a maze on West End Street, and you two were lost in that maze. And he said, "Hold on tight to me, mommy." Maybe to comfort you or something like that. Or maybe to get comfort from you, whichever it may be. But it was a memory that you should recognize. And I guess it's a special memory if he's mentioning it. Hold on tight to me, mommy. Hold on tight to me. This message is for JD and LM. I do not know if this is the same JD and LM that I already read for. JD and LM were my two lobsters that were separated, that belong together. It could be very well that it's two different people, two different sets of JD and LM. I'm sure you're not the only set of JD and LM in the world, but I do have a tendency of getting the same people more than once, so I have a feeling this is also for you guys. I would love to know if it is you guys, because if it is, I'm hoping you took the advice and have now fallen in love again, because this message is from your spirit baby. And just so you know, sometimes spirit babies, let's say that you were pregnant and had a miscarriage, that same baby, that same soul can still stick around and try again. Something that you would recognize as it being you guys, JD and LM. Yellow eyes. For some reason, yellow eyes are important. That actually makes me think of a cat. Like when you see those pictures of like those Halloween pictures with cats and they've got yellow eyes, those type thing. And that might be what it is. It is Halloween, so maybe it's a Halloween reference. The next thing is falling asleep on the beach, which is a story you know. Falling asleep on the beach. There's a message to keep the flute for them, for your spirit baby. Keep the flute for me. So if you were thinking about getting rid of a flute, don't do it. Your baby, your future baby wants the flute. So keep the flute for me. Do not do too much yet, because you might be delayed. You know, I wonder if maybe you are already pregnant. You should probably check if you are already pregnant, because there's a message that says my brain needs more time. I know that certainly happens. My brain needs more time. your spirit baby says maybe you are feeling really tired. That might be your first sign that you're pregnant. When you feel really, really tired, that might be your first sign. Baby will be listening for your music. So maybe if you're the one that plays the flute, maybe the baby's waiting to hear your music play. I know every time I'm pregnant, I sing lullabies to my babies. So, and they do know all that stuff. So, the baby will be listening for your music. And the last message for JD and LM from your spirit baby is I love you. Which is about the sweetest message you could get, right? I love you. Let me check real quick if there's any other messages. Any other messages for JD and LM? Oh, I got a message to turn my cube around. That is, this is a dice and a Mayan divination die. And that's the moon.